Turkish officials are set to sign a 20-point agreement in Baghdad. Turkey will be seeking more cooperation with Iraqi forces as its attacks on Iraqi Kurdistan intensify. Tensions rise as Erdogan's diplomatic mission to Iraq draws criticism ahead of a looming cross-border offensive. Kurdish groups and citizens denounce Erbil's official welcome, citing Turkey's military actions in the region. Turkish police confiscated several books titled with the word Kurdistan at the Izmir book fair. A member of staff was also detained, sparking allegations of censorship. And journalists around the world celebrated Kurdish Journalists' Day, 126 years on from the launch of the first Kurdish newspaper. Learn more with Media News. Recep Tayyip Erdogan has arrived at Baghdad airport in his first state visit to Iraq in 13 years. The Turkish president will meet Iraqi President Abdul Latif Rashid, as well as Prime Minister Mohammed Shia al-Sudani. A series of 20 agreements are set to be signed today. Erdogan is accompanied by Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan, as well as several other ministers. Erdogan will then continue to Erbil, where he's scheduled to meet the president of the Kurdistan Regional Government, Netçirvan Barzani. Meanwhile, the Turkish military is in the process of launching a major new military offensive in Iraqi Kurdistan. On the 18th of April, a Peshmerga fighter was killed by a Turkish aerial attack in the Sidikan district. Today's talks in Baghdad are expected to signal new cooperation between Iraq and Turkey over the Turkish military's intensification of aerial attacks in Iraqi Kurdistan and against the Kurdistan Workers' Party, or PKK, attacks which have claimed the lives of 10 Iraqi civilians this year. Turkish troops are also occupying northern Iraq and have established 87 military bases in the region. Joint attacks by Iraqi and Turkish forces are reportedly on today's agenda. Protesters are expected to fill the streets of Süleymaniye on Monday to demonstrate against Turkish President Erdogan's visit to the Kurdistan Regional Government in Erbil as part of his Iraq visit. The National Sovereignty Defence Council in Süleymaniye rejects Turkey's attacks in the Kurdistan region and aims to protest Erdogan's visit. The council and members of the public will gather outside the Iraqi Council of Ministers in the northern city in the afternoon. The Kurdistan Regional Government have laid on an official welcome for the president, with Turkish flags adorning the streets. Civilians in the Kurdistan region reacted angrily, deeming Erdogan unworthy of such a welcome in the light of Turkey's treatment of Kurds and a long history of fatal military bombardments on the region. Significant civil unrest is expected, with demonstrations and outcry on social media. Erdogan for Kurds is what Putin is for Ukrainians, or Netanyahu for Palestinians, a contributor said, joining the conversation on X. Erdogan's diplomatic Iraq mission, officially touted for trade talks, comes ahead of a planned large-scale military attack against Kurdistan Workers' Party, or PKK, fighters in border areas of the semi-autonomous Kurdistan region later in the spring. Turkish police confiscated several books titled with Kurdistan at the Izmir book fair on Sunday, citing them as prohibited and dangerous. A member of staff was also detained, sparking allegations of censorship. Kurdistan 1915 to 1920 and 2 other titles containing the word were seized. Police harassed us all day and then took books mentioning Kurdistan. We do not accept this intolerance to the name Kurdistan. We condemn this action, said the book fair's coordinator. The president of the Regional Bar Association also condemned the confiscation of the books as unlawful. The incident underscored ongoing intolerance for Kurdish identity and historical narratives in Turkey. The books at the centre of this controversy explore significant but contentious periods in Kurdish history, further highlighted by researcher and author Sedat Ulugana. He said,
Polis kitabın ismine takılmıştı zannımca. Zira kitabın isminde tırnak içinde Kürdistan fedaisi sözcüğü geçiyordu. Kürdistan kelimesini görünce adeta kırmızıyı gören boğaya dönüşen cenah şunu da unutmamalı ki Kürdistan terimsel olarak en az 1000 yıldır kullanılıyor.
Kurdish journalists around the world celebrated Kurdish Journalists' Day on the 22nd of April, marking the 126th anniversary of the publication of the first Kurdish newspaper, called Kurdistan, on the 22nd of April 1898 in Cairo. The newspaper was published in Egypt by renowned literary figure BAGHDAD Khan, who was in exile at the time. The newspaper was released every 2 weeks and ceased publication after issue 31 due to pressure from the Ottoman authorities. Despite their contributions to freedom and democracy, Kurdish journalists continue to face persecution and imprisonment in Turkey, with dozens of Kurdish journalists in prison on the anniversary of the first Kurdish newspaper. Journalists faced attacks during recent pro-democracy demonstrations in Van, Turkey, as police targeted members of the press with rubber bullets and water cannons. The Kurdistan Regional Government Prime Minister Masroor Barzani also released a message to commemorate this occasion. However, his statement drew a criticism from opposition and independent journalists, since his authorities have recently detained numerous journalists for years at a time, including following 2020 anti-government protests, alongside allegations of torture and mistreatment.